I'm going to shock the world here.
I'm calling for an open tryout. If anyone is watching this, I'm calling for an open tryout. I got a year of eligibility left.
Might have some.
Anthony, where is home for you?
Home is Medway.
That's wrong. All right, I hear what you're saying, but I'm just going to disagree.
While we were in class this morning, I was watching his mixtape, and this guy catches and shoots from anywhere.
Are you ready for some debate? Because Bobcat Breakdown starts right now.
Happy Tuesday, Bobcats. We've got all things men's and women's hockey, acro, and basketball coming up on Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Kaylin Terry, and on opposite sides of me of the ring are Ben Kane and Brianna Trachtenberg. Are you both ready to battle today?
I'm feeling good. Brianna said a lot of chicken scratch on my paper, but it's a lot of diligent note-taking that's preparing me for battle right now.
I walked in here, you were still writing notes down. I came ready and prepared, so I'm ready for today.
All I have to say is there was a lot of scribbling from this side and none from this side, so we'll see how it works out. All right, let's just jump right into it. Brianna, let's start with you with men's hockey. So Travis Treloar has been on a hot streak for the Bobcats for quite a few games now. How has Treloar's 9-game point streak affected the team?
I mean, it has really helped the team out, and this all started back when Van Pecknold decided to switch up the lines for that Yale game during CT Ice. So having Treloar be able to step up, he has scored 12 out of his 20 points in total this season in these last 9 games. And because we've been able to have more consistent scoring from him, it's given the team more opportunities to score, and you don't have to rely on like your top 3 scorers like Graf, Lipkin, and Quillen. So it's able to spread around the wealth, and it's allowed Van Pecknold to rely on all 4 lines no matter what the situation is.
See, now I took this question in a quite literal sense. So I did the math. I went in every single game in that streak, figured out what the score was, what Travis Treloar did in that game, and then how the record would have flipped. A lot of diligent note-taking going on. So with Travis Treloar, they were 8-1. Pretty good. But without him, 5-2-2, it's okay. I just don't think he's really affected it that much. And if you look at the ECAC hockey standings, which I also wrote down, the Bobcats already won the Cleary Cup. They're 16-3-1. If you take away those 3 wins, I mean, granted that they might have come against games like Cornell or Colgate, they're still 2 games ahead in the ECAC. So, I guess, from, a team standpoint, yes, it affected them. And you're right, they did spread around the scoring. But in the more literal sense, this team was already going places, and his goals, whether he scored them, assisted them, or not, didn't affect them in how they were playing.
Ben, there's a big difference between 8-1 and 5-2-2.
Overall, though. It's the same.
That's a bigger difference, but
overall, actually, you take those 3 wins away, they're on 20, and the next team, Cornell, is on 16.
All right, guys, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree here. We're getting a little in the weeds over here. So, Ben, let's move on to the next question. The Quinnipiac Bobcats advanced to the quarterfinals of the ECAC hockey playoffs this past Saturday after an emphatic 9-0 win against Harvard. With the next round set to resume on Saturday, how far do you think that this team will go?
I got them going out in the first round this upcoming weekend to Cornell. The 2 teams haven't really stacked up well against each other. The Bobcats, when they go to Cornell, which they are going, they're 9-11-2. So it hasn't been the best last 7 games. They've only won 3 of them. But I got an analogy for this team. We've all been waiting for it. Here we go. Shout out Ashley Potvin for helping me behind the scenes. I've got the women's hockey team and Lilo and Stitch. Stitch has a glitch. The second movie, right? Hear me out. Lilo, that's Cass Turner, right? She's helping this team. It's Stitch. Stitch is the team. They start off on a really good run. They go on an 8-game win streak to start the season. Then all of a sudden, it starts to go downhill a little bit. That's going to be this period they're in right now. I know they won against Harvard, but they kind of die out, and then boom, revitalization. That's the NCAA playoffs. So they're going out in the first round, but they're coming back strong in those NCAA playoffs.
See, Ben, the issue with that is that they hit their slump at the end of the season. It wasn't like it was kind of during, that middle area. They ended, pretty poorly. And like I said, I agree with you. I think that they're getting out first round against Cornell. Cornell is right now on the uprising. Their goalie, Annalise Bergman, she has been heating up. She finished the seasons with 2 shutouts and 2 one-goal games, which is pretty impressive. She's also been named to the All-Rookie team and multiple, ECAC awards. Izzy Daniel is also their leading point scorer, and she's the leader in all of ECAC, and then she's also number 3 in NCAA. So I think that Q just does not have enough to talent and able to combat that. And then even still, Kate Valley, who right now she has the most points at Quinnipiac, she has 39. Izzy Daniel has 53 points right now. So I just don't think that they have the ability to take them over.
I'm glad we agree. I'm glad we agree on this.
That was some great points, guys. Acro and Tumbling took the mats for their first home meet of the season against LIU on Sunday. Now the Bobcats tumbled their hearts out, winning with a score of 272.84 to 232.92. Now the Bobcats excelled in the team event with a score of 94.14. Now this is the fourth straight season that the Bobcats have won their home opener, and the Bobcats look this season to win the championship in full, coming off a 4-event title success last season. We're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we have all things Acro and Tumbling. But first, check out a recap of Saturday's meet from our friends over at QBSN.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the M&T Bank Arena here in Hamden, Connecticut. We got ourselves some acrobatics and tumbling today. We have the Long Island University Sharks against the Quinnipiac Bobcats. Both teams went off on a victory in their first meet and looking to go 2-0. James, let me break down acrobatics and tumbling. Look at that, James.
Oh,
we
my.
have handsprings to a front flip, 2 round-offs, and a full to finish it off. That might have been perfectly in sync.
Really good job of stabilizing her towards the top of her body, really the bottom of her body since she's inverted. But I mean, a really great catch there. My jaw quite literally dropped as she fell what had to be 10 feet. From the start, the Quinnipiac Acro tumbling team just performed and showed the echelon of program that they are on.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. Why?
I can't drive.
Why? My. Oh.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. Thanks for sticking with us. After the Bobcats win against the Sharks, we caught up with acrobatics and tumbling athlete Raven Hammett to play some Acro-inspired trivia. Check it out.
Are you smarter than an Acro athlete? Are you smarter than an Acro athlete?
I'm with Raven Hammett today, and we're going to do some trivia after our Acro meet here against LIU. So I've got a couple of questions for you. Let's see how many you can get right. With Sunday's meet featuring LIU, who is in their first year as a program, can you tell me how many first-year programs there are this year?
This year? 4.
6.
I'm going to go with 10.
That was right. That was good. Okay. How many of the new programs can you name?
LIU.
Morgan State.
Iona.
Iona's a new one, which Quinnipiac's competing against later on.
I'm really bad at this. And 7 more.
You put me on
the spot here. Now I'm like really trying to think.
You were really confident at first.
I was really confident. How many did Brianna probably didn't get as many? Probably got more than me. She probably got way more than me.
How many national championships did Quinnipiac win last year?
4.
They won 7 national titles, but they didn't win like a championship though, but they won 7 titles.
4.
That is correct. And how many programs in total nationwide are competing this season?
I'm gonna go 52.
I want to say 60, but I think it's less.
I mean, we just keep getting bigger and bigger numbers out here.
52.
45. 40 something. 46.
It's 43, but you're right there. Who is a founding father?
Marianne Powers.
Marianne Powers.
Marianne Powers? Oh wait, oh no. Like George Washington?
Wait, Raven said the same thing! Raven also said Marianne Powers. You heard it here first. Marianne Powers is a founding father. Well, the two of you didn't do so hot in your trivia, so I hope you can answer this next Acro question. Now, Ben, with Acro having their first home meet of the season, how can they catch up to the Baylor Bears and get their first national championship?
Well, just so everyone's aware, Baylor has won the last 9 or 10 championships in a row consecutively. Some of these girls on this team have never lost a collegiate meet, and you see it on your screens right now. The team event is what's going to propel this Bobcat squad. You look at the last 3 from last year, and the Bobcats in that final meet, that was actually against Baylor in the semifinals of the NCAA National Championship. They beat Baylor on the team event. I think that's a huge moment for them, and you look back, the last time Baylor lost a team event, COVID-19 was not around. It was before the pandemic actually happened. The one time where a team did catch up to them, that was on March 6th of 2021. They played against Oregon, and that was actually their only loss they've had since 2017. So it's a tough ask, but Quinnipiac have shown signs that they're going to be able to catch up to Baylor. We talk about Mia Rose King a lot on the show and especially at the meets, but she had a new Acro element in the team event. She did a one-handed hold up in midair, which she's never done before, so that's going to be key for them. I think the team event is how they're going to propel past Baylor.
Ben, I mean, I agree with you. I do think that Quinnipiac, their team event, is probably the strongest part of their. But honestly, I just think that Baylor is just a step ahead of everyone else. You said, like, Mia Rose King, she did that with the one-arm hold, like, for the first time this weekend. Baylor's already been doing that for a year. They're just way ahead. They just came up with a brand new move called Baylor Boomerang. I mean, they are just miles above everyone else. And honestly, I just don't see Quinnipiac being able to catch up, at least not this year. And I think a big part is that they have to start cleaning up the routines a lot faster, and as soon as they're able to do that, then they can start advancing them more. And I think another thing where they might struggle a little bit is that a lot of their schedule is against teams that are newer to the league, which is, it's hard to push yourself when you know that no matter what, you're going to be winning. So I think that they need to compete against themselves more. Well, that's that for that. When we come back, find out what Ben and Brianna think about men's basketball team's recent performances and how the women's basketball team can get back on track.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Drew, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. The women's basketball team continued their skid, losing their 5th consecutive game on Saturday. Take a listen to what head coach Trisha Fabry had to say following the game against Canisius.
Just disappointed with our performance. You know, I was praising the other day, and today was really super flat. Nothing in the tank. First play of the game, guard who doesn't shoot it all that well was wide open and really just kind of set the tone. We tried to claw into it, you know, claw back in the second half and look compete, but that was a really tough 2 quarters, and it was a team that I'm unfamiliar with.
Women's basketball has not been having the best season so far, and we heard about Fabry's disappointment this season. Ben, how can women's basketball bounce back from losing their identity?
The identity of this team is that they're very young, and I think they need to really buy into that almost. You have a young squad. You have Anna Foley, who's 6th in the MAC in scoring with 14.1 points. I'm sorry, I stumbled over my words a little bit. But she also has 7.1 rebounds, which is in some of the top in the nation. Carson Martin, 16th in the MAC in scoring as well. So they have all these players, but I think there's so much pressure on their shoulders over the past few games. But it's a telltale sign. Any coach is saying, when you're having that losing streak, go out there and just have fun and play basketball. And when you have this much youth and experience, the Bobcats are some of the top teams in field goal percentage in the league, but they're one of the worst in three-point percentage. They're trying a little bit too hard. I think they just need to go out there and just enjoy their basketball and get back to being the kids again that they are.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, the youth on their team, I mean, the freshmen have really stepped up a lot this year, but quite honestly, I think that they need to step up more. And I also think that, like, Raven Douglas, Bree Bowman, and Cassidy Thompson, they have to be stepping up. They're the older members right now on this team, and I know that they're coming off the bench. But if they want to be able to add into this, I think that they need to be stepping up more on their side. I also, quite honestly, for the rest of the season, I think that you kind of play out and know that you might not have the success you wanted, and then you build on all of the success that the freshmen have had this year. You get their confidence up during practice, you keep working on the skills, and then Jackie Gristow will be coming back. A lot of their top scorers will be coming back next season, and you already have that younger base set, and they come and they're able to add on to the team.
Those are 2 really great points from both of you. Brianna, let's move on to men's basketball here. Men's basketball has been on a hot streak all season with a 19-8 record, creating a huge buzz all over campus. However, was the Friday game against Fairfield the closest Quinnipiac will come to becoming a basketball school?
So I think it is, unless they start pushing more of those basketball games like they do the Fairfield game. Now, obviously, Fairfield's probably one of their top rivals, and it was on ESPNU, which makes it a pretty big deal. But this basketball team has had a historic season. They've had their best record since 1965, but yet fans have not been showing up. Most of the time, most of the stands are pretty empty for these games. So I think that the only way to get these fans through the door and build up that basketball culture is to start doing more promotions like they do for the Yale game. Even though hockey's the big sport, they still do a lot to help promote that game. So if you're continuing these promotions like what we saw on Friday, then I think that you're going to able to get fans in, you'll build up the fan base, and then more people will start going this game.
I think the word that I think is key in this is fan culture. It's one thing to have people in the stands, and we saw in the graphic there, they had over 3,000 people for that Fairfield game, but having the culture of, I think, just people in the stands knowing the players' names. I think that's the first place to start. So I don't think this was anywhere close to them being a basketball school, and the Fairfield game, the Quinnipiac was on a skid when they went into that game. You look at other games where if you're the likes of UConn and your team's on an 8-game win streak like Quinnipiac was on February 9th, you should have people in the stands for those games. They had half the attendance in that Fairfield game. So I think the attendance is good, and like you said, the promotions that they're doing are good, but I don't think the Quinnipiac student body has bought into this team enough to make it fan culture. I mean, you see the Yale game, everyone on their feet there with the lights up. They know exactly what they're going to get from Quinnipiac men's hockey. They know the players. They know the head coach. But I think if you went around campus and you ask guys, who's the starting 5 for the men's basketball team, don't think they'd be able to answer it. So I think they're nowhere close to being a basketball school, but this was a foot in the right direction of where they could be. And I still don't think this was the biggest we've ever seen.
I think that they definitely still have a long way to go. I mean, even to kind of counter that, when people, even though the hockey team is big at this school, obviously they just won the championship last year. When people go to those hockey games, there are still plenty of people who don't know the names on the team. So I think, like, yes, it's like they should know, like, if you asked anyone what the starting five is, no one would know. But I also think that goes to some point with the hockey team, too. But I think, when else are you going to probably see the success again? I mean, we don't know what next year will bring, but it's disappointing to see that the fans are still not showing up. And like you said, they were on a skid going into this Fairfield game. There were not people there when they were at their height of their season. So I think that you really need to promote the team's success a lot more and get fans wanting to go to these games.
You look at the average attendance as well. It's 1,365, which is okay, but you look at another team in the MAC, Fairfield, 2,557 is our average attendance this season. So there's schools out there that are competing with Quinnipiac, and we saw when Quinnipiac traveled to Fairfield early on this season, the stands were not only packed, but as head coach Tom Pecor said, it was almost like an NBA game and how they were playing, how fast-paced, and it's really high-quality basketball, but you're right, I don't see the fans showing up and acknowledging that. It just seems like they want to be a part of the school. They're showing school support, but they're not showing team support just yet.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of disappointment over campus over the last few years with the fans. It's definitely been showing in the stands, as you both have mentioned. I think this is the best year, the best season they've been. I mean, I know I've been here for 6 years. It's the best season I've seen from this whole team. So we'll see where it goes from there. But it's been a phenomenal night for debate. It's been really great with both of you. But unfortunately, we're going to have to take our final commercial break of the evening. So stay tuned for Final Roars coming at you after this commercial break.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihavepreddiabetes.org.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at Saved by the Scan.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's time for Final Roars, and I think Ben is the perfect person to kick us off.
There's a reason behind everything, a name, an action, and especially a dream. Everyone remembers the telltale "what would you want to be when you grow up" question they hear in elementary school. However, at a certain point, that question shifts to what do you want to do when you graduate? For most, they enter college and have these big lofty dreams about where they want to be in 4 years. But things don't always pan out that way. Life happens fast, and it can get ahead of you. Suddenly, you went from the kid that was happy playing spike ball in the quad or grabbing dinner with your friends to sitting every day and wondering where that passion went. We talked earlier on in the show about how women's basketball can get their identity back, and I think this message holds true for that as well. It's imperative to find the reason for everything, and it all stems from passion. Want to be the next best sports reporter you can be? Don't go around belittling others or trying to bring someone down to raise your stature. Do it because it's what you're passionate about. Where does being at the top all alone and without any passion really get you? A future career that you fell out of love with years ago? Keep your passion in reporting and in your work. Focus on yourself and not the work of other people, because I guarantee you the person interviewing you in 3 years won't care how bad Johnny's work was, but more so the quality of yours. It's all about the grind, and in order to succeed, that passion needs to remain with you throughout the whole process. So focus on yourself and how you can get better each and every day, and not about the person to your left, because I promise you, again, you'll see the results.
What do you do while on an airplane? Is it thinking about your destination, taking a nap, or watching your favorite movies? Personally, I try to take a nap, but while Felicia Mulkey was up in an airplane, she came up with the basic guidelines of what is now known as acrobatics and tumbling on an airplane napkin. What started out as an idea on a napkin has now turned into one of the fastest growing collegiate sports and has given the opportunities to hundreds of female athletes. Before the creation of the sport, many gymnasts, dancers, cheerleaders, divers, and even weightlifters didn't have a place to compete competitively after high school graduation. The creation of Acro has opened up a new door for these athletes and has given them an opportunity to compete one last time. More recently, the Professional Women's Hockey League, or PWHL, began giving female hockey players a chance at going pro for the first time. More and more women have become a part of the sports world, both on the field and in media. Growing up, it was my dream to become a professional athlete, and while the dream has now shifted to the media side, it is still so inspirational for me to see other women breaking down barriers in the sports world. As more and more women enter the sports world, I hope that the next generation will become just as inspired and have even more opportunities to make their own paths in sports.
Bobcat Nation, it's been quite the run with you. After 6 years of Quinnipiac sports and Q30, it's time I finally say my goodbyes, and it's been a long time coming. I haven't been on a Q30 show in 2 years, so did you miss me? For my last Final Roar ever, I wanted to look back on all of the memories I've made here with Q30. All the laughs I've had, the consistent fights I've had with the Q30 technology as head engineer, which we are clearly seeing today as we're in the McMahon studio, and all of the lifelong friends I've made. I really appreciate Q30 taking in a girl with dreams of going to law school, one who wasn't going into the media field. I started out my Q30 career as an associate producer for Quinnipiac Tonight, so shout out to all of my Q Tonight friends, all the late hours filming. I'll never forget Scooby-Doo, or Doobie-Skoo, excuse me, you did hear that right, a parody of Scooby-Doo, going well into 3 a.m. at night. It was a lot of work, but the amount of fun and laughs that we all got out, it had me hooked. And Q Tonight was a family. And then I branched out into cabinet where I was head engineer for 2 years. Anything that could possibly break or stop working would. Trust me. Every single time. But I wouldn't trade the stress for anything. It forced me to broaden my horizons and work with the other sports shows and news shows. And I did. And I'm proud to say that I've been on every Q30 show at least 3 times in my career at Quinnipiac. I found my love for sports again. I played every sport I could have growing up and was an elite gymnast. And giving all of it up once I got to college was hard. But I found my place back in sports through photography and Q30. And something that Brianna had talked about with women in sports, it brought me home. So sorry to all of the athletes I've annoyed throughout my 6 years, whether it was tagging you in photos or asking you a million questions in press conferences. Thank you to all of the friends I made along the way who really made Quinnipiac and the media suite home. I've seen a lot of faces come and go through Q30, and I know that Q30 will be good hands after I leave. So Clever, Mike, Emily, Ben, Jackie, I'm glad I could be a mentor for a lot of you, and I really cannot wait to see what all of you do. Lastly, I just want to say I 100% beat Ben in debate during our last Bobcat breakdown 2 years ago, so there's that. But I just want to say it's time to move from the rinks and the courts to the courtroom, so thanks for everything, Q30. Have a good night, Bobcats.